I know Jack contacted to say that he won't be attending, so it looks like we have quorum, and it is 6:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Here. Present.
Here. We have a quorum. Can I have a motion on tonight's agenda, please?
So moved.
Rosales and Tinsley, any discussion of the agenda as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed, the agenda moves. Can I please have a motion on the minutes of April 3rd of 2017? Moved by Harper, seconded by Tinsley. Any adjustments, modifications? Thank you again to our clerk for providing for us. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No one opposed to the minutes. The minutes approve. Let the record show Mr. Recorder has arrived. Thank you, sir. No, please. Let's move forward to public participation. I see no public, so we'll go ahead and close that. Move on to 6 communications. Any communications from board members? I see none of those. We'll go ahead and close that move ahead to number 7. Approval of authorization of ITB 2017-001 for the nursing home chiller compressor replacement project bid. And do we need a motion? Yes. And can I have a motion on it, please? Moved by Harper. Second. Seconded by Rosales. Open for discussion. Dana.
If you remember, this project is to add a 4th compressor. We lost a compressor. It went bad about 3.5 years ago out of the nursing home chiller plant. We've been operating with 3 compressors, which you can. However, we have no backup, and they're being maximized during the really hot days, as well as this system that uses the chillers designed to bring in chilled water up to 40 degrees with outside temperature. So it's virtually used 10 months out of the year. So it's very necessary. My biggest fear is that another compressor goes down. They're not on a shelf to be had easily, and I'd like to get one in before the real dog days of summer hit. Get it here as quickly as possible. I'd feel a lot safer having that on board. Would rather not go through another fall like we did last year with 2 emergency purchases, and be allowed some time to, get a little better price on bidding this out competitively. So, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Dana. Any questions on that? Yeah, we did discuss this previously. All those in favor of approval, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? All right, we have that. Number 8, the approval of 2017-02 for Brookins Prod 200, the RTU replacement. We did discuss this, I believe, before. Can I have a motion, please? Moved by Mr. Rector. A second. From Mr. Tinsley. Dana.
Again, this is replacing 2 rooftop units. They're heat decks, air movers for Pod 200. The 2 rooftop units up there are original to this building. It's amazing that they're still working, but that also goes major kudos to our staff for being able to maintain them when they're 40-plus years old or over. So very necessary. We will look to see, providing Ameren's got the program, which my understanding is, I will be attending a meeting upcoming in June to hear what their program is for rebates, basically, for doing projects. We should get something for these 2 rooftop units. Just don't know what we'll qualify for yet at this time, because they've not sent anything out to define their program for the coming year.
Thank you, Dana. Any questions on these? Yeah, we've discussed these before, and also it's probably going to save us power, too.
Yes.
All right. Good move. Hearing no questions, all those in favor of moving forward, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed? It moves forward, is approved. Let's move on to number 9, approval of authorization of 2017-02 Brookins Pod 200, another.
Yeah,
Same
well,
kind.
it's not, and I apologize. This
Yeah,
is,
this should be
this will
03.
be '03.
Did you guys fix the agenda before I got here to make this correct?
No, I literally just was gonna do that right now. So, should have done it before, and I apologize. Yes, this is 2017-003. This is the generator, and if you read the document
Yes.
that's attached, it defines the generator project. This is purchasing and installing a generator for the coroner's office, for election supply, and for the physical plant, which are basically all under one large Butler-style building. Coroner does not have any emergency backup for power that he desperately needs, and we need to be in compliance for him. We've already had an experience, a blackout condition during an election for Gordy, so it would be helpful to have a backup power for election supply. And should there be a long period outage, it would be very helpful for our staff if we could be able to use some of the tools and machinery that we have available in our shop, not to mention get into the shop. So this is an important project, but really with the coroner's office in mind is really what has driven this as business interruption kind of insurance, if you will. It was easy to add the other two. It did not add that much to the project in general. All the power comes into one location for that building and then gets sent out to 3 different control panels. So it's going to be very easy to do this project and not that much more to add the other 2 facilities. So apologize for the duplication, inaccuracy on the agenda. That was my fault.
Yeah, Dana, thank you. We did discuss this before, again, as part of our earlier discussion in the year for our projects. But just to be safe, let's go ahead and can I ask that the mover and seconder accept a friendly amendment to make this 003 the generator for the coroner's office? Is that all right? All right, without hearing an objection, so done. And then let's go ahead and have, if there's no more questions or discussion, let's go ahead and have a vote on the approval of 003, the generator for the coroner's office. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that approves as well. We'll move on to 10, which is the facilities director's report, starting with the ADA interior project. Dana, please.
Okay. There was a handout I placed on everybody's desk. Please take a look at it. It's the last single sheet. We'll start with that one. This gives you kind of a quick rundown of our expenses for our ADA interiors project that just finished. And just for everybody's reminder, this was specifically for the courthouse. We went in and remodeled 2 courtrooms to make them ADA compliant, both for staff, both for jury. It was already ADA compliant for the public, but unfortunately the ramp and area for the jurors as well as for the staff were not. So we made that compliant. We fixed a drinking fountain on the first floor, and we replaced some urinals for the men's restrooms on the 3 floors, putting us into compliance. Over here at Brookins, we upgraded basically 5 restrooms that we are now ADA compliant in. Prior to that, we had no ADA restrooms in the building. Total project cost, we're looking at $167,537. That breaks down Bailey Edward Architecture, who was our architect, gave us an approximate cost of $30,400. We just received our last invoice today that's been processed. That total is $22,650 was the actual cost. We've paid out to our contractor, Finley Dickerson, $130,000. Their total project's $144,000. I will get probably tomorrow or later in the week the last pay application. That additional $14,000 is just retainage, making sure that everything's done properly, everything works correctly. We hold money until the end of the project as per our contract and bid documents on all projects. So we'll be getting a payout for the remainder as well. So total all in, we expected a total cost of $173,000. That's what was budgeted, and so we saved a few $1,000, approximately $5, on this project moving forward. A couple of notes and other reminders about our ADA compliance. We, per our signed agreement with the Department of Justice, we have to be in compliance in all of our facilities by March of 2018. It's our intention that we've got another report due coming up this July of 17. The final report to DOJ is really not due until July 2018. But we've been talking with Tammy and I have been meeting and talking about it, and it really makes a lot of sense to send in our final report a little earlier if that is possible. May, June, July are big-time budgeting months, certainly for Tammy, and we'd like to get this done as soon as possible if we are able to. So just a couple of dates that are upcoming, but also important for the next subject matter. Anybody have any questions about our interior ADA project that we just finished?
Anyone? All right, Dana, please move ahead.
All right, next up, the other documents. There's 3 that are stapled in front of you. They're landscape. The first one's up, these documents, this is what's left. Everything else has been completed from the original DOJ findings for all of our facilities, with the exception of these 3 facilities. This is what's left. We've gone through the buildings again with our architect. They have estimated a total project cost, construction costs, et cetera, which is in this document, so we can look through each one. We can talk about it if you wish. But Sheriff's Office downtown, and it's just the Sheriff's Office on the 2nd floor, we're looking at $127,718 and some change to make improvements that would make us in compliance down there. A huge piece of that is the public ramp from the sidewalk up to the building. It's a fall of about 4.5 feet. That's going to be an expensive ramp system. Price estimate is.
That number on that sheet, I apologize, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, the cost opinion of Bailey Edwards for just the ramp's about $40,000.
Okay.
Okay. If you look in the last page of that document that says Sheriff's Office, 204 East Main, the last page shows you the cost, $127,718 at the bottom.
I'm missing something. It might be 27.
Does yours say Sheriff?
Yeah,
Does it say Sheriff's Office?
there's 3 subsections, yeah, so it's on page, 4? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's,
That's where the sheriff's office
Oh, the
ends.
wrong one. Highest here, you
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, it should be the 5th page of that document that
page,
says
sorry.
Sheriff's Office.
Sorry.
Yep.
Thanks, bye.
There's numerous other items in here, updating restrooms for the public, the restrooms, public restrooms on the sheriff's 2nd floor are not ADA compatible. Frankly, I don't think we can make them ADA compliable unless we blow both of them up and only make one, so it's a men, women's, family restroom, because the square footage that they physically have is not large enough to have an ADA by itself. So by taking 2 and kind of blowing it up and creating one, we would be able to meet code. Drinking fountains, there's just some other things that are in there. Our goal for the sheriff's office is, at some point, we're going to have to make a decision, are we going to be there or not? It's possible maybe we can have that discussion. I know we've talked a little bit about maybe having that discussion at a future meeting. The second document that you have there is the downtown jail. It's a little bit shorter. I think it's 3 pages. Total cost of making it ADA compliant is $47,616. Very similar. Access to parking for visitors, access, restrooms, signage. Again, the same question. So, if we're going to be in the building, we need to move forward and do something to make this building ADA compliant. If not, then we can look at doing something else. The third document and last one that you have is a satellite jail and the cost of doing business to make it compliant. It's just a 2-page document. It's $70,963. We've got parking lots to do, no van parking. Our slope is inaccurate, doesn't meet code. Routes to the building, cross slopes, curb cuts, a little bit less there than the other facilities. But if you total all three together, it's $246,000, so call it $250K. We do have budgeted for 2018 the $70,963. Our intent is to move forward with that and get those projects done this year. Keep in mind that some of those are outside work, so it's got to be done before snow flies. So we'll look to Bailey and Edwards and get them to cost out what their costs would be and have a little better document to bring back to the committee probably at the next meeting. But Tammy has in the budget for this year the $70,000 to do this project. We're going to stay in business at Satellite Jail, so we've got to make it ADA compliant. Any questions?
Yes, anyone? Stan?
Well, I mean, I just went through the tour with Dane over at the satellite jail. The sheriff's office and the downtown deal, I mean, Rick's here, Dana's here, committee's here. We've heard nothing but horror stories about that facility. In my opinion, we spend no money on that, and I don't know whether we bring it to the board about closing it down, getting it up for sale, either sell it as is or clear the property eventually and sell that property. I don't know, but I see no need because the roof's terrible. I have this ADA money. I think we need to make a recommendation to the board about moving forward and getting rid of this. You gave us the 4 or 5 year projection there last week. We got major problems coming. I mean, if that means we have to house inmates out of county like they used to, we'll have to go back to that until we get financially stable again. But that's kind of my recommendation. I don't know where you guys feel on this, or Josh, whether we bring this to the board or not.
Yeah, I'm generally in complete agreement with that. I think we need to, and Pius and I spoke about this earlier, I think we're going to have to move forward on some sort of RFI, and certainly in agreement with the sheriff and making sure that he has a master plan on how to deal with this. Because I agree that we're throwing good money after bad if we try to maintain this downtown jail, no matter what ultimately we do with jails. And, seeing as how the number fluctuates between 30 and 45 there quite often, I agree we can find out of county that is affordable. We can look at, an extension of release on recognizance or home detention or something like that, and find some more solutions. And then that will give the sheriff some time to examine ultimately what he really is going to need should we do something at the new jail, at the satellite jail. So we can be very judicious about what we do there if that happens in the long run. Any other comments, questions on that, please? John?
Yeah, so how do we officially move forward on that? I mean, I was off this committee and now I'm back on, and I'm really excited that we're all agreeing on this, because I did the tour before I left this committee, and it's embarrassing, so I'm glad we're all on the same page. So I just need, how do we officially move forward to carry that to the board and ask for RFI? Oh, are you pointing at Rick?
Just a clarification, you mean RFI to sell the jail property, right? Is that what we're asking for?
I mean, ultimately, because, we've pretty much all been through that thing, and, I mean, the best idea I've come up with is a zombie paintball court for that thing, there's just not much that you can do with it. So, while at the same time, it of all the properties we own, is in the most prime retail development downtown Urbana site. So, perhaps there is an investor willing to take that off our hands, and we can look at sale with demolition, sale without demolition, I'm sure there's multiple ways we can work on that. But then ultimately, I think part of that plan needs to be, the sheriff's reaction plan, what he's gonna do with the folks there. And then part of that then is gonna have to be, what do we do with the sheriff himself and his staff? A couple of ideas have come up, all the way from rehabbing Ilias to one I discussed with Pius tonight of, forgive us RPC, but perhaps even having them leave Brookins, find office retail space, which is more convenient, and put the sheriff in Brookins. Multiple solutions, and whatever the sheriff's input is on that, I think we would want to respect, and you guys as well, because you deal with this. And if this is something we cannot have in May, in June, this is something we cannot have in June, but, the sooner we move on this, the better, because I agree, and I think we all are in agreement that investing more money in this jail is not feasible. And then what that will also do is ultimately create the data set that the sheriff's going to need to make the argument of what he needs otherwise. So, however you want to proceed there.
So we've got a couple issues, obviously, the disposition of the building itself, and then some sort of migration plan, I guess, away from, or for those operations to be housed somewhere else, or an alternative that's suitable, and whatever the county board direction is. So I guess maybe there should be a motion to develop a plan then that would include those elements in it.
And can I have a motion, please, on that? From Mr. Rector, and seconded by Shayna. I appreciate it, Ms. Cruz. Any questions on that suggestion? Shayna,
So I know
please.
one other thing that we've kind of discussed, but I don't think we've actually talked about it in the facilities committee, is we're talking about several different RFIs for different properties, and it would probably make sense to bundle and have a facilities package then. So it sounds like we're finding some common ground on the properties that we think that we should look for an investor to purchase, that we bundle it all together and kind of move forward with that to kind of address our problems more in a systematic way versus one-off and letting everything kind of go. I think just moving like an omnibus facility plan forward.
I know that one we've discussed is the old nursing home, having that done, to see if Ilias has interest in purchasing it, any other groups. For one thing, that gives us out the liability of demolishing the other parts, and then they can maintain it. And this is all, I think this is thinking down the road, as how we can put this together. But certainly that one, and Shayna, your other suggestions?
Like the 1901 boiler house.
Yes, that one, which we definitely want to get rid of. And then I know there's been discussion of Brookins. I mean, I don't think that this facility's really addressed that. I don't know, and I would be interested in hearing from the committee on this, if they feel that it's premature to even consider that as part of this package.
I mean, we got a lot of issues. I agree, but I think the primary one is the downtown jail. I'm not totally disagreeing with you. It's just like, that's a lot. And then if you throw in Brookins, so I would be more in favor of, let's do the downtown jail and see what we can get on RFI, because, I mean, staff has a full plate too, but I think we need to piecemeal some of these.
Oh, just because what's the status on the nursing home RFI?
The nursing home RFI will
that-
come to Finance Committee of the Whole next week, so.
Okay. because we got that one out there, and then Ilias, is there consensus on that? On what to? Is that a building that we'd want to keep, or is it something that we'd want to have an RFI for?
I mean, ultimately, what Shane is describing is the entire facility, which includes the old nursing home and the old nursing home and the rehabbed old nursing home and all of that. So did you have something, Rick?
Because then you could do
Yeah, I think on that one, I'd recommend that we come back with some options on that. I think that, obviously, we have a current tenant there who's interested in staying there, and we also have some issues related to maintenance of that building that we're going to have to address. So we're also receiving a significant amount of revenue from that lessee. So I think we want to be careful with that, but maybe come back with some more thoughts for your consideration, how you want to move forward.
Yeah, with an analysis of like the square footage we're losing, because I know some of it's being condemned, what the costs would be to, to remediate that, because I know there's all kinds of issues involved with that, and ultimately what demolition would be, because that would remove all the liability from us. Something to think of down the road too is a way, some plans to start building for us, I think is really what Shane is after as well. And if we're going to look at RFIs on multiple things, we'll start with the downtown jail, because that's an obvious cost center coming. But then I would think that the next one coming down the road would be the old nursing home for sure.
It may be premature, but I'm just going to mention that I think that there are some forces coming together in the community as well about the downtown site that it might be a very good time to talk about how we might dispose of that.
Very good. Thank you, Rick. All right, so Patsy, yes, comments, please.
Are you speaking of the ADA expenses? I think that if the facility committee and the board would be in agreement to have a plan, an exit strategy, and a deadline date established somehow, we can certainly broach that with DOJ. They've been understanding in the past. They don't like entities like ourselves to spend money unwisely. So I think that that would be received pretty well, but it would be, I think, a requirement to, have a board action and some sort of date established for us to submit that to them for consideration.
Yeah, we do. I believe we have a motion on the floor to ask for the preparation of an RFI on the downtown jail. Any further questions on that from anyone? Please stand.
We're talking about all the ideas, this and that, and I agree with John and everybody else here that I think downtown facility is the first thing we need to move as fast as we can, I think. But with Ilias, are they pretty committed to staying here, you think?
I'm not sure how to answer that one. I think I think they like what the situation is now. Part of their concern, of course, is their source of funding is not necessarily. I want to say that it's not stable, but they don't necessarily know that it will continue for the long term. I mean, I don't want to speak for Jim or any of the folks over there, of course, but I think that's always a concern. Do we know, what if that's going to be a long-term situation or not, or will the facility provide the functions that they need to be able to do their jobs? We know we're losing part of the old building now because of other issues, the environmental issues now. So will it provide what they need for the future? I don't know. So I can't, at this point, I guess for the committee's purposes, I don't know that we know how far in the future to plan for them being in there.
Other questions? Okay, well, then the motion on the floor is to go ahead and proceed with an RFI preparation on the downtown jail. Can I have all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and that will move forward as well. Thank you, Rick. I guess that fits under other business technically, since we were finished with ADA. Any other business before the committee? The chair's report is that the next meeting is June 6th of 2017. We do not have any sort of tour for that day scheduled. If people have something specific they'd like to see, always remember you can contact department heads. They love to give tours. We'll move forward then to designation of items for consent agenda. That would be numbers 7, 8, 9, and then what came under business, which is the RFI. Any other comments,
That would
Mr.
not.
Chair?
The last item was just directions towards Rick, so that'll come back to the committee.
Thank you, Pius, as ever ready with the parliamentary answers. I appreciate that. Without any objection, then I will declare us an adjournment. Thank you, everybody.